questions to wetlands. With this large agenda, I do usually like to keep it 3 minutes. I'm going to ask that the vice chair assist me, and if anybody in the audience is talking, that we keep to that 3-minute rule, please. And then we either do two things. We're either going to close the meeting or continue it. If we close it, that means we have 21 days to render our decision. Whatever decision is rendered, there is a 10-day business appeal afterwards with Mass DEP before the order of conditions is actually valid. I'm going to quickly read into the agenda. As I say, it's a very long agenda, so please bear with conservation tonight, as this is the big one we've had for a while. Notice of intent off Fruit Street. Notice of intent Pleasant Street. Notice of intent Quisman Way. Notice of intent 218R Auburn Street. Notice of intent 425 Bedford Street. Notice of intent 13 Vernon Street. Notice of intent 71 Oldfield Road. Notice of intent 56 Urbach Circle Extension. Notice of intent 50 Urbach Circle Extension. Request for determination, railroad right of way. Request for determination, 283 Cherry Street. Request for determination, 63 Paddock Road. I left off all the maps with tonight's long agenda. Other business is going to be deemed under conservation business. We have approval of assigned a form for land use grant, request for certificate of compliance on 45 Stony Brook, extension of OOC of Mass DOT SC 116-1275. With that being said, I am now going to we have no old business, amen. And let's start with the first on the new business, notice of intent off Fruit Street, map 83, lot 84, Sylvan Engineering, please.
Just before we get started, Jasmine, have you given me hosting ability?
Yes, your co-host.
Okay. And I assume we have Larry and Rebecca on the line.
Yes.
So we will hand it over to them. If you can give the screen sharing to Rebecca.
No problem. Let's see.
Jasmine, you'll read in the public notification.
I will. Sorry, I'm just trying to find.
No worries. I just want to make sure we're on time.
I don't see Larry or Rebecca. Do you see them? Steve? Well, let's see.
Madam Chairman, my name is Ed Brennan. I'm the attorney on the project for the property owner. I spoke with Larry and Rebecca earlier today. We're expecting them in on the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
That's fine. We can always table it, and then, once they're in, we can go back to it. So if Silver Engineering is not present right now, we'll go to the next one that doesn't include Silver Engineering, which would be, are they on?
Did you want me to read the public hearing notice?
Well, not yet, but because they're not here to open it, so I'm going to table them.
Okay.
Once we see them come back, or once we see them on, we can easily go back to them.
Yep.
But there's no
That's
sense
fine.
in opening them if they're not
That's
here.
fine. Yep.
So let's go to notice of intent 218 Road, rear Auburn Street, map 78, lot 56, Foresight Engineering. Are they on?
Who was the representative for Foresight?
That's Darren.
No Foresight on? Okay, we'll just go down the line then. Is Prime Engineering on the meeting?
Yeah, I believe I saw Aaron. Aaron is here, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'm going to open, we'll start with notice of intent 71 Oldfield Road, map 52, lot 13-C18, Prime Engineering. Jasmine, if you can open that with the notice.
Just a moment while I.
No worries. I just want to keep us rolling.
Sorry, bear with me. This is over 500 pages. So.
No worries.
So let's see. This what the 71 Oldfield.
Correct, yep.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearings on a notice of intent filed by Prime Engineering. The applicant proposes to construct a garage, driveway, grading, and lawn development. The property is owned by Oldfield Estates LLC and located at 71 Oldfield Road, Bridgewater, MA, as shown on Assessor's Map 52, Parcel 13C18. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Thank you, Jasmine. Okay, you are now open. Prime Engineering, please.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Aaron Reardon. I am with Prime Engineering representing Long-Built Homes for 71 Oldfield Road. 71 Oldfield Road is within the 56-lot subdivision known as Oldfield Estates. The work at 71 Oldfield Road, it's to construct a single-family dwelling with associated septic system, irrigation well, and driveway grading to meet existing elevations, and lawn development. Now, all the work within the 100-foot buffer is a portion of the garage, a portion of the driveway, grading to meet existing elevations, and then lawn development. No work is going to be within the 50-foot buffer. Everything is between the 50-foot buffer and the 100-foot buffer. Erosion control is already out here from the order of conditions, the original order of conditions for the subdivision as a whole. So if that is not deemed adequate, then I also propose a silt fence along the edge of the work. Is there any questions regarding 71 Oldfield Road?
So I'm going to start with Steve to start the weighing process, please. Have you been out there?
Yep. All right, so this is going to be a similar theme of tonight. We have quite a few number of lots that were permitted under notices of intent and then subsequently orders of conditions in a couple different situations in different geographical areas around town. In the case of this one, this has an existing order of conditions which pertains to the establishment of the roadway and erosion and sedimentation control throughout the entire subdivision, especially in those areas that fall in the buffer zone to the wetland resource areas, which are under this commission's jurisdiction. Therefore, when it comes to this project, it was also stipulated within the order of conditions that each individual home lot would have its own notice of intent filed for it, and subsequently trying to get an order of conditions. Therefore, with that being said, the erosion and siltation control is in place. It has been in place for quite a while. Upon site walks, it is still functioning the way it should. Therefore, for the purpose of this project, I recommend and suggest the issuance of an order of conditions with standard conditions applying.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Harry or Arlene, any comments on this?
No, I'm fine.
No, I'm fine.
Yep, I have no further comments. At this time, I will open it up to anybody that has a question or concern on this filing. Seeing none, Chair would entertain a motion, please,
Sorry.
to close.
Motion to close the hearing on, what number Oldfield is it? 71 Oldfield Road.
Second.
Hearing a second, any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
Okay, noted this meeting is closed. All right, while we have Prime Engineering, let's just go through Prime Engineering's filings, please. So the next one would be 56 Airback Circle, extension map 52, lot 13, C25. Give Jasmine a minute to get into position and she'll open up with the notice.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link to the instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted on the calendar of the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. The recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is on a notice of intent filed by Prime Engineering, Inc. The applicant proposes grading to meet existing and proposed elevations and lawn development. The property is owned by Oldfield Estates LLC and located at 56 Urbic Circle Extension, Bridgewater, MA, as shown on Assessor's Map 52, Parcel 13-C25. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Thank you, Jasmine. Prime Engineering, you are now open.
Once again, my name is Aaron Reardon. I'm with Prime Engineering representing Long-Built Homes for this notice of intent at 56 Urbeck Circle Extension. It is part of the larger subdivision, the 56 lot subdivision. We are constructing a single family dwelling with associated septic system, driveway, grading, irrigation well, and lawn development. All the work within the 100-foot buffer is grading and lawn development. The existing tree line is further out, but that was because of the drainage structures that we had to be in place for the detention basin. There is, I believe, like all the other ones, there's already erosion control in place, and we did propose a silt fence along the limit of work in the event that it is not deemed adequate. Are there any questions regarding 56 Urbeck Circle?
Again, Steve, I'll have you open up with any comments where you've been out there.
Yep. I conducted all these site visits on the same day because they're all in very close proximity to each other. This is just a different portion of the project that's located out at Oldfield Estates. Falls under the same notice of intent that was originally filed for the establishment of the roadway. Thus, the same erosion and siltation controls were put in place at roughly the same time. Therefore, I recommend and suggest an issuance of closing this hearing and issuing an order of conditions with standard conditions applying.
Okay, any comments from Eileen or Harry, please?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. Hearing that, Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to close the hearing, 56 Urbeck Circle.
Second.
Hearing a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is now closed. We have, what's our next meeting? September 10th, we're back on schedule?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to keep everything closed as far as that goes. I'm not gonna issue, we don't need to issue anything tonight.
Nope.
Otherwise, perfect.
We'll wait for the appeal period anyway. So.
All right, Prime, still stay there. You've got notice of intent that Jasmine will get ready on 50 Urbeck Circle Extension, map 52, lot 13, C26.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar of the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is on a notice of intent filed by Prime Engineering, Inc. The applicant proposes construction of a deck, grading to meet existing and proposed elevations and lawn development. The property is owned by Oldfield Estates LLC and located at 50 Urbeck Circle Extension, Bridgewater, MA, as shown on Assessor's Map 52, parcels 13-C26. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Thank you again, Prime. You are now open.
Again, my name is Aaron Reardon, and I am with Prime Engineering representing Long-Built Homes for 50 Urbeck Circle. 50 Urbeck Circle is part of the 56 lot subdivision known as Oldfield Estates. It is a single family dwelling with associated septic system and proposed driveway, grading, lawn development, irrigation well. All the work within the 100-foot buffer is the proposed deck, grading to meet existing elevations, lawn development, and a potential irrigation well. Once again, there is already existing erosion control out there, part of the larger order of conditions for the subdivision as a whole, but if that is not deemed adequate, I also included a proposed silt fence along the limit of work. No work is going to be conducted out within the 50-foot buffer. All work is between the 50-foot buffer and 100-foot buffer. Are there any questions regarding 50 Urbeck Circle Extension?
Okay. Thank you very much. Again, Steve, could you give a intro on it, please?
Yep. So this is the last one for Aaron tonight, and it falls in the same vein as the other two.
Mhm.
This project, the roadway for this project was established and permitted under a previous notice of intent and subsequently an order of conditions in which the erosion and sedimentation control was put put on the plan and put into place. Therefore, the wetland delineation is still correct. The erosion and siltation control is still intact out there. And so for this, it falls along the lines of the last two. Thus, I recommend and suggest that we close the hearing and issue an order of conditions with standard conditions applying, and move on.
Thank you. I have no comments. Eileen,
All set.
Harry?
My only concern is the rivers and the streams out there. If anything is close to them, I just want to know it. On this one, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. Anybody on that has a question in the general public on this filing? Okay, hearing none, Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Motion to close the hearing for 50 Urbex Circle.
Second.
Hearing a second, any further discussion?
Hmm.
Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Frisco.
Aye.
Lost it. All right, please note that this hearing is closed unanimously. All right, thank you, Prime Engineering.
Thank you very much.
Having a good evening.
You as well.
Thank you.
Larry and Rebecca are on now.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Okay, we'll go back to the top.
Okay.
Jasmine, if you could get ready notice of intent of off Fruit Street, map 83, lot 84, Silver Engineering, and read that into play, please.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 27th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. for review of a notice of intent. The public hearing will be held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. The proposed work includes construction of an office warehouse building with parking lot and associated grading within the buffer zone to a previously approved wetland line. The property is identified as Assessor's Map 83, Lot 84 off Fruit Street. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Very good. Thank you. You are now open. Silver Engineering, please.
Good evening.
To turn it over to Rebecca for screen sharing, and we'll let them take this presentation.
Good evening. I'm Larry Silver from Silver Engineering. With me this evening, Ed Brennan, the attorney on the project, is here. Rebecca Baptista from my office, and also Ken Thompson, the botanist for this project. I do want to point out that we had trouble getting into the meeting because we were using the link that's on the agenda, and that is obviously not working. So we were sitting in a room waiting to come in for a good 20 minutes.
All right,
So,
thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody has gotten in now or everyone has access to the new link.
Yeah, we had 23 people in here before you came in,
I
Larry.
had no problem. I had nothing. Got right in.
Well, it's a totally different link, and I can tell you, all of us had the one from the agenda, and we weren't getting in. So just letting you know that.
Okay,
Okay, all
thank you.
right. So Fruit Street. Some of us know that as really the old Pleasant Street, or the original Pleasant Street, and that's located off of what is currently Pleasant Street, and it's where the state facilities are located. You probably are driven by those many times along the way, and the site is partially the old Beagle Club site.
Yep.
For those of you that have been around Bridgewater for a long time. The site is 24.8 acres in size. It's 11.7 acres of uplands and 13.1 acres of wetlands. So a substantial wetland system behind the area that we're going to be putting in this warehouse site. And that extends from basically a distance from Route 24 all the way out towards the commuter parking lot. That's a massive wetland area going in that direction. A significant buffer to the lake, I must say. So this is the area that we're talking about is an area that was flagged in 2007 by CR Environmental, and green pipes were put in at that time. And Ken Thompson went out there this year in order to reaffirm the location of the wetlands. And he submitted a letter report, which was also filed as part of this submittal. The proposed project here, well, I should say that as far as this existing conditions, the land on this here, the upland portion of the site slopes in a direction which is from south to northerly. So from the Route 24 side, then going, as you're looking at this view, from right to left, and also downward to the left. In a portion of it goes in that direction. So what's being proposed here is a 103,000 square foot flex building. There are no tenants identified at this point for it. It'll be a combination of office and basically storage or warehousing. It'll be defined as clients come along. So as you see this on the right side or the southerly side, I shouldn't say southerly, it's actually easterly. Easterly side of the building is where the parking is, and on the westerly side or the left side is where there is the loading docks, and then behind that is large detention basins, which are mostly in the area of the 100-foot buffer zone. So you can see that yellow line is where the 100-foot buffer zone. So immediately in the back, you can see that most of the impervious areas are totally outside of that buffer zone. As you come down towards the bottom there, you can see that the 100-foot buffer zone does creep in. There is sort of a pinch point towards the end of the building in which there is a little bit more activity approaching that 25-foot no touch. There is no activity within the 25-foot no touch proposed. And the drainage is being handled by a combination of deep sump catch basins connected to oil grit separators and sediment forebays before the water is then brought into detention basins prior to being discharged to the wetlands. The volume and rate of stormwater leaving the site is at below the existing, and it's below 90% of the existing in accordance with the regulations for the town of Bridgewater. And I should point out for you that you're not sure how you get into this site. So you go to the end of Fruit Street all the way until you reach the fence that is where Route 24 is, and then you hang a right and you go down into the site. You go through state property in order to get into the site. There was a 50-foot access that was provided by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts when they did the taking for Route 24 back in the 1950s. So, so pretty much, the activities are, obviously there is activity within the buffer zone, but I think that we have managed the work that's there. We're managing the potential in terms of runoff from the building and from the parking lot areas, making sure that the water is treated prior to being discharged and also slowed down and stored temporarily as we detain it before it goes into the wetland area. We're obviously very sensitive to making sure that this is done in a responsible way. We're in an ACEC, and we all know the value of the wetlands and the lake nip habitat and so forth. So with that as a summary, I guess I would answer whatever questions that you might have at this point.
Okay, thank you very much, Larry. I'll start with Steve. It is my understanding that town engineer Azu has not seen this or done anything, so we'll start with Steve.
Yeah, I was going to preface my part with saying that that Azu Itanero needs to review the stormwater and some of the other engineering aspects of this project, as he is the town engineer. Therefore, I will not be suggesting any sort of closure or issuance of anything tonight, but that's all my role is in this. As far as this project goes and the regulations go, I think everything that is laid out in the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act for buffer zone activities is allowable. This meets the performance standards of buffer zone area. The fact that the effort was made to keep the impervious surfaces as far away from the wetland as possible is a nice bonus. The detention basin being on the, the closest thing to the buffer zone, and especially that 25, or I should say within the buffer zone, and especially to that strict 25-foot no-touch zone. In the case of most projects in town, that's being adhered to. This project will obviously undergo a pre-work on site, will be constantly checked during work, and obviously we'll have to go through another set of protocols once we hit the post work portion of the project. So with all that being said, this is, sorry, I just had a pop-up come up from a chat. I didn't know that was coming up, sorry. Stop my train of thought, but as far as the detention basin going and discharging, that's allowable under the performance standards of the Act. This jurisdiction, as far as this commission goes, is limited to 100 feet to these bordering vegetated wetlands. I understand also there's an area of critical environmental concern. So everything needs to be looked at with a magnifying glass. It's part of the Hockomock Swamp ACEC. So therefore, you can rest assured that this project's going to be under the magnifying glass through completion. But until then, I have to wait until I hear from a zoo to see if there's any potential changes that he needs to make to the stormwater or any of the other engineering, which might in turn change the plans and thus fluctuate the plans a little bit in order to review them again. So with that being said, that's it for my comments for tonight.
Thank you very much, Steve. So Larry, I did go out there today, myself and Eileen. Unfortunately, we couldn't get too far. The sky's really open to bat on us. So we retreated. But my only thing, I will go back out there. My only thing is I saw one stake as we pulled up, but the stake I would be interested in looking at is by the close to the 25-foot, no activity level. Is that staked out there on the edge of the building?
Not the 25-foot, the buildings.
I'm looking for the building stake near the 25-foot.
Well, the building corners are staked out.
That's fine. That's all. I didn't get that far out there. That's fine. I'll go back out. Thank you. I have no further questions. Eileen, Harry?
Yeah, no, I plan on going back out there with you. Until then, we won't have any questions. We need a zoo's input anyway.
Okay. Harry? Harry?
I have
Any questions?
at the moment. I'll go out there by myself.
Okay.
No,
So if the applicant will agree to,
fine.
sorry, what was that, Harry?
I think, Harry, are you fading in and out?
I lost it.
I think we
Yeah, I'm
lost Harry.
fine with it. Yeah. The tree in my
I
way.
unmuted.
I can't hear Harry too good, so. Until I hear Harry good, we can't continue. Let's see. Harry?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, all right, now I hear. Okay, so, all right, so you're fine. Again, I had no further questions until I get back out there with no rain. At this point, I'll ask anybody that has a question on this filing at this time, please. Again, I'm gonna say with the 3-minute, please.
Yep, and Marilyn, let's take our time doing this so we can make sure that anyone who needs to speak or wants to speak is afforded that ability. So is everyone in the room familiar with the raise your hand feature? There's a click down here if you do reactions. Now at the bottom of the screen, you can click raise your hand and we will address you and ask you to speak.
Jasmine, are you seeing anybody with their hand up?
I've got one hand up. Pat Neary. Pat
I
Neary.
don't know.
Hello, I have a question. You said that
Could you
Okay,
identify
hold on,
yourself?
you need to, honey, please state your name and address for the record.
Pat Neary, 225 Lakeside Drive.
Thank you, Pat.
You said that Mr. Thomas had confirmed the flagged wetlands this year, and they had been done 13 years ago. So I'm
Did you
wondering.
lose it?
Yeah, I hit
Hello?
loading.
I'm wondering, were they flagged recently during this drought period, or at what time period were they reflagged or confirmed?
Steve, I'll direct that to you.
I think Ken Thompson is on the line, so he could probably answer that most effectively.
Yeah, I think I reviewed it back in the spring of this year, but I will, give me 1 second. I will check that for you. I was out there April 14th of this year.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. I have one other question. And I'm sorry, I, of course, don't know the regulations for the math when it pertains to the percentage of upland area. I know that the 24.8 acres does include the 13 acres of wetlands. And is that typical that we include the wetlands in the overall area and use that part as, you know, a percentage?
Again, I'll direct this to Ken then.
Or, no, I think that's more of a general, I don't know if that's the purview of this commission. That doesn't really apply when we're talking on the matters of the Conservation Commission. Lot percentages and things like that do
Oh,
not
I'm
matter.
sorry, I misunderstood the question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so
Yes, yep.
It doesn't
She
really,
meant why was the wetlands on the plan?
yeah, it doesn't really matter what the percentage of that is proposed to be built on is wetland.
Hello?
There are percentages that come into play when we're talking about things like mitigation and riverfront area, but as far as this is concerned, that really doesn't come into play at all.
Okay, thank you very
Does it
much.
come into play for this committee, or it doesn't come into play at all?
There's very limited cases where percentage of wetland area will be a deciding factor or any sort of determining factor in a project being approved or denied. No, I cannot think of one off the top of my head, and I would have to research the regs to see if there is anything, but I think that I'd be hard pressed to find.
I really don't understand the answer to my question. Maybe you didn't understand my question.
Okay.
Is the overall land area what they take the determination for the impervious area for?
Again, that's a question for not for this board.
Okay, that's a good answer. So which board would it be? Planning board?
I would assume that would be more, yeah, probably in the planning or
Building commissioner.
zoning or building commissioner.
Zoning.
You mean building inspector?
He is one and the same, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And anybody coming on with a question, please keep in mind that we have, you know, this will, with the town engineering not being weighed in yet, this will give us time to take everybody's questions, look into their concerns. So please keep that in mind when you address some questions. We will be looking into every concern. Thank you. Anybody else with a question or concern on this filing?
Yes, Melissa, give me just a moment. I'm just going to ask her to unmute herself.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, hi, Melissa.
Hi. Thank you very much for taking my comments this evening. It's much appreciated.
Can you just stay, I'm sorry, honey, can you just, I got lost with
Oh,
Melissa.
yeah,
It's my
Melissa
daughter's name.
Raymondetta, sorry.
Name and
Sorry,
address for the
I
record.
forget. I forget. 317 Lakeside Drive, Bridgewater.
Great, thank you.
So my comments with regard to this project are that, you know, there was a significant increase in size of this project, of the size of the building when the DSCIR from October 12, 2008 was created. So the project went from the building went from a size of 92,000 square feet to 103,000 square feet, which is a significant increase. And I didn't see the plans before this, but leads me to believe that perhaps if the building was slightly smaller, that there would be no breaking into the wetlands barrier, the 100-foot buffer zone, and also less impervious surface, less asphalt, and also less tree cutting, which is also a concern. So size of project is my concern, wondering why it was increased recently from the 92,000 square feet, and wondering why this 100-foot buffer zone for the wetlands needs to be encroached upon by loading docks and this asphalt area. So thank you. Those are my comments.
All right, thank you. I'll send that to Steve at this time.
Okay, so as far as the size of the building goes, that's another concern that's for another board. We only deal with the proposals that are put in front of us, and we measure them up to the performance standards of the Wetlands Protection Act. That's what this commission is guised with. So therefore, when it comes to a building size, it could be 50,000 square feet, it could be 100,000 square feet. That's up to the planners and engineers to figure out. And then as far as the encroachment within the buffer zone is concerned, you're not disallowed from encroaching in the buffer zone. Bridgewater has in its bylaw a 25-foot no-touch zone, or no building zone, or whatever you want to call it. And that's typically more than other towns have. I know that from experience. I know other towns do have more no-touch zone than Bridgewater does. However, as long as the project meets the standards that are put forth by the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the general laws that are associated with it, we have to allow, or I have to suggest that projects are allowed if they meet the performance standards of the Act and the regulations that associate with the Act. It is up to the Commission to take that suggestion and recommendation and make their decision upon that. After all, it is a privately owned property, a privately owned proposal. So for us to this isn't the board that tells you what you can and can't do in particular on a property. We are simply mandated with regulating the resource areas on site and the potential impacts and the buffer zone associated with those. We can't say whether or not a project is too big or too small, as long as it meets the performance standards.
Thank you, Steve. And as I opened up, for people that aren't used to come into a conservation meeting, is that we are governed by the rules and regulations of both the state and local bylaws to meet those standards. So thank you for answering that question. At this time, thank you, Melissa. Any others raising their hand on this?
There is a question in the chat from a Janet Hansen. She asks, why does the runoff have to go into the wetland at all?
And you have Janet's name and address for the records?
Janet, can you either unmute yourself or use the chat, please, to give us your name and address?
I'm unmuted.
We can hear you.
Janet Hansen. Janet Hansen, 665 Pleasant Street. The other question is I just always want to make sure that the wetland in that area is protected. So that's why I'm following this closely. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. I can reiterate what Larry said in regards to, this water is going to be treated into the detention basin and through some oil grit separators and appropriately in accordance with the stormwater protection standards that are set forth by the same regs that we're talking about here tonight. So therefore, any water that is being discharged from the detention basin or on-site drainage and those appurtenances that are associated with that meet standards that have already been set forth with good technical science and research. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a water expert, and probably Larry and Rebecca could probably speak more to that as far as to why this discharge point is being chosen. But I can assure you that these standards are not taken lightly. I mean, protecting wetlands is very important in this state and this town.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jasmine, anybody else with a question raising their hand on this?
Yes, Andrea Monteith from 255 Lakeside Drive asked if a comment could be written in, and so I'm just waiting for her comment unless.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a good,
absolutely. Yeah.
that's actually probably the preferred way of submitting your comments, is to put them in writing. And then that way they can become part of the public record.
Okay, yes, Andrea Monteith, 255 Lakeside Drive. And yeah, I would like to prepare some comments before the next hearing.
So the next meeting is September 10th. I will be in the office all of next week. So if you want to put some comments together on paper and meet a time, set up a time to meet me outside Town Hall, I can make sure that they get into the file for review.
Okay, so just contact you by email, or what is
By
the best
email,
way?
I will be available via phone and email in the office starting Monday through the entire week. I'm in next week.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Andrea. Have a good night.
Okay.
Jasmine, anybody else on this filing, please?
If anybody else would like to raise their hand, or if they're on a mobile phone, please press *9.
Seeing anybody else, Jess?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. All right, at this time, the chair would entertain a motion, please.
We're doing a motion to continue, correct?
Absolutely, yep.
All right, so we're going to I'll make a motion to continue Fruit Street, Bridgewater to September 10th, 2020, 6:30 p.m.
Second.
All right, here in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
All right, we are continued for anybody listening to September 10th at 6:30. And that is your notice. You do not get another notice in the mail. This is your notice that that meeting is continued. Thank you very much.
Good point, Marla. Thank you.
If someone just raised their hand, Jasmine.
Once we continue, we got to go on. We just continued it.
Okay.
They can definitely submit comments to Steve. All right, Jasmine, please, next, as we get into notice of intent, Pleasant Street, maps 96, lots 13, 14, 23, please.
Yes, I'm going to leave Rebecca on sharing her screen. So in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 27th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. for review of a notice of intent. The public hearing will be held as a virtual meeting via Zoom. The link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. The proposed work includes improvements to sidewalks from the buffer zone to a wetland. The property is identified as Assessor's Map 96, lots 13M, 14, and 23, Pleasant Street. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
All right, thank you. Silver Engineering, please.
Yes, this is Lawrence Silva, Silver Engineering. So this is a project which was proposed in conjunction with the town of Bridgewater. So it's basically coming to you from both Claremont and the town of Bridgewater Highway. And when the apartments, the Viva apartments were approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals as part of a 40B, one of the stipulations was that that sidewalks would be constructed along Pleasant Street. So that's what this is about. So we have basically connecting sidewalks which start on Lakeside Drive, where the original office building is located at their first driveway. And so it starts there, comes down, and goes across all the way over to the access project where the other apartments are. And in addition to that, there's going to be another crosswalk right in front of Lakeside, one of those with the LED lights, the push button lights to let people know that you're going to be crossing there. Most of the sidewalk is within the buffer zone because even when you're on the south side of 104, you're in the buffer zone to the lake itself. The only real work that's really close to a resource area is there's about a 260-foot length, I think, which is, I don't know if Rebecca, you can point to where that is. It's just before you get to access. You want to go to a different screen?
I'm trying to zoom in, but
Okay.
You're doing a great job, Rebecca. Thank you. This is so helpful. We're so used to being, in person with big plans in front of us. It's helpful. Thank you.
it's on 2 pages, but this is the hotel entrance and the parking lot is here. And this is where it starts and it continues until you get to the access.
Right. So there is, so as you can see on the left side of your screen there is a section of the work which is closer to the wetlands than we would prefer to be, but because we don't really have a choice. The road is where it is, and the sidewalk needs to be adjacent to the road itself. So that's that one stretch is a little bit closer, but I think that the public good of having this sidewalk all the way down on this side. There is a small sidewalk on the other side of Pleasant Street, but this would really provide a nice pedestrian circulation path, because we also have, when you go into the project down Lakeshore Drive all the way to the end of the subdivision and next to the Viva project, there is an actual pathway that goes through the woods where the water line had been put in that also connects over towards the Access Apartments. So, it's nice. There's a nice pedestrian connection there. You can actually do a loop if you wanted to. And if you want to cross over to the other side towards the lake, we're giving you another crosswalk to be able to do it. And this was all predicated by the zoning board. They wanted that as part of the 40B project. So we originally had it reviewed by both Azu and Ron Ledoux. And then once we addressed the comments that came from them, we finalized the plans and submitted them. So that's what we have here. We're asking for approval to be able to do that because we're at that point now in that project where it makes sense to get these things in place.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, obviously, we're all very familiar with that area. So, Steve, I'll start with you. Town engineering has weighed in. So.
Yeah, this project is very, as you guys can tell, and Larry just explained, is pretty minor in scope. Falls entirely within buffer zone and is improvements. I mean, it's probably going to be aesthetically better. It's probably going to be structurally better, and it's going to provide some much needed area for recreation on that stretch of road. So I have no issues with this project, and I suggest that an order of conditions be issued.
All right, thank you. Eileen or Harry, any comments, please?
I feel the same way as Steve.
Harry?
I approve of the project. It's a needed sidewalks so that the people can walk from there over to any other future projects that are going to be in there. It's needed. I approve of it.
All right, I think safety is always a number one thing. So at this time, I would direct any comments on this filing. Jasmine, anybody raising their hand?
I'm not seeing anyone.
Everybody about 30 seconds. I don't foresee or anticipate any comments on this one, but we never know.
Still all clear.
Okay, all clear. Keep things rolling. All right, Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve in order of
No,
condition.
we gotta close.
Oh, we're closing. All right, we
Yeah, we'll
close.
just close. Yep.
All right, make a motion to close for the
Second.
Pleasant Street project, Lakeside Center.
Second.
Okay, hearing a second. Any further discussion, please?
No.
No.
Hearing none. Roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
All right. Please note, closed unanimously. All right, keep going, please. Jasmine, if you can get notice of intent up for 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 Crimson Way, map 111, lots 44, 15, 47, 49, 48, please.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater local bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 27th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. for review of a notice of intent application. The public hearing will be held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. The proposed work at 2, 4, 6, and 7 Crimson Way includes construction of a single-family home with driveway, septic, and associated grading within the buffer zone to a previously approved wetland line. The property is identified as Assessor's Map 111, lots 15, 39, and portion map 112, lot 2. Applications reflect new map and lot numbers to be updated this fiscal year. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Very good. Thank you, Jasmine. We are now open, and that is, again, Silver Engineering, please.
All right.
Rebecca will be presenting this one.
I am opening the subdivision. The commission might remember that we had this in front of you 2018. We had the line flagged, we had the line reviewed, we walked it. The roadway has been installed. We are ready to build some houses. So for identification purposes, I'm going to show you where each lot is, and then we will go into each impact as we go. So real brief, lot 1, 2, 3 are all on the left side. Lot 4 is at the end, and lot 5 here is off to the left. 6, 7, and 8 are not going to be impacted, no impacts to the buffer. So 2, Crimson is known as lot 1. Single family home, septic in the front, walkout to minimize the grading in the back. Erosion control is actually in place from the subdivision. The closest building is actually 62 feet away, and the closest disturbance is roughly 40 feet. There's actually a conservation easement, a drainage easement between the house and the wetlands for subdivision drainage. Does the commission wish to ask questions as we go, or should I talk about all of them?
I would just present it, and then we'll
keep on going. All right, so
roll.
The impacts to the buffer, as you can see the yellow line, 50% of the lot, maybe a little bit less, is in the buffer. The septic is out of it. If I move on to lot 2, also known as 4 Crimson Way, second one in on the left, single family home, septic in the front, walk out to minimize disturbance to the back. Closest point to the house is about 60 feet. Closest disturbance for grading is about 25. And again, there is a conservation, a drainage easement separating the house lot and the wetlands for a drainage trench. Roof will be recharged on each one of these lots. That one is pretty straightforward as well. If I move on to 6 Crimson, which is lot 3, third one on the left, single family house, septic in the front, walkout in the back. Buffer impacts are very minimal on this one, given where the buffer, the foundation is located about 90 feet from the wetlands. The closest disturbance is over 50 feet, as this is the 50-foot mark right there. Very minimal impact to the buffers in this one. Moving around the cul-de-sac, we have lot 4, single family home, septic on the side, just to make it a little different. Still the walkout grading to minimize disturbance. You can see here we're up to the 25-foot for the backyard. This one has more impact than the rest, but it does have a lot of area that we are not disturbing off to the side. Again, roof recharge will assist in the drainage on the lot. And the last one, if I go around, will be the lot 5 or 7 Crimson. Single family home, septic on the side, walk out to minimize the grading. Separation to the 25 is with the location of a trench for the drainage purposes. And again, this one has a lot in the buffer, but again, it's minimized. We have a roof infiltration to offset any impervious to the lot. That was the 5 lots. Are there questions regarding any of those?
I have not had a chance to get out there, so I will start again with Steve. I know, Steve, I believe you've been out there.
Yeah, well, you guys have been out there.
Yes, well, I'm familiar with it, yes, but I haven't been out there with the
Not
filing.
much has changed, probably since the last time you guys were out there. The erosion and sedimentation control has been put in place. And this is very similar to the projects that were over in Oldfield that were closed earlier in this meeting. There was a order of conditions issued for the roadway and the erosion and sedimentation control. And now in that order, we also asked that each individual home lot file a notice of intent and receive an order of conditions. This is that part of the process. And as Rebecca just laid out, these are the 5 lots and their design. It is all buffer zone only. There are a couple areas which do get close to the 25-foot no disturbance zone. However, as Rebecca mentioned, there's also areas where they could have expanded with site grading and maybe a little bit more during the planning process, but at this point, there was no need to, so that area was left to be preserved for the time being. It will, ultimately provide good recharge and good flood storage from that wetland down gradient. So the one question I have for the commission on this, before I issue my suggestion, is these are going to receive 5 different orders of conditions as far as my suggestion goes. So if you guys are going to close them out like I suggest, then we're going to have to figure out how to parse them out individually. So
They were given individual DEP numbers, so.
Oh, they weren't.
They were.
They were.
They were all
Yeah.
individual filings.
Yeah.
So then, yes. So then I just want to know how the commission wants to move forward approving these tonight. If they want to do 5 roll calls,
Okay.
as far as, because now is the point where they're all listed together as far as it looks like one project, but it's actually 5 individual. That's what I
guess I would weigh in on regulations if we can do that for,
So then approve them.
or if it's regulatory wise, if they're individual notices of intent, I would think we'd have
Individual
to
notice of
weigh in.
intent, so.
Then I would feel more comfortable weighing in on them individually. I'll ask Vice Chair Harry and then Eileen to weigh in, please.
Individual.
Yep. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. At this time, Harry, any questions on any of the lots and the filings of the notices?
No, it looks good.
Yeah, we've been
Yeah.
out there. Eileen, any questions on these filings?
No, it's fine.
Okay. At this time, I'll direct anything then to the public if they have a question on this filing.
I haven't seen anything yet, but give it a couple seconds.
Yeah, we'll just give you a couple of them. Keep rolling. Okay. Chair would entertain a motion then, please.
So we, because are we just closing tonight
Yes.
for all of
I
them?
would close.
All right.
Yes.
So should I make individual motions for each lot?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm making a motion to close lot 1.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Frisco.
Aye.
All right. Noted that. One close. Chair would
Making a
entertain another motion, please.
motion to close lot 2.
Second.
Hearing second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Frisco.
Aye.
Close. Chair would
Now-
entertain another motion, please.
Now, the next one is lot 3, or is it 4?
Lot 3.
It's lot 3, okay, so make a motion to close lot 3.
Second.
Hearing a second. Any further discussion?
Oh my God, as long as you're in front of me, I'm doing this.
Hearing none. Roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Frisco.
Aye.
All right. What do we got left?
4
Four.
and 6,
Lot-
4 and
lot-
7. Lot
4 and
4.
5.
Make a motion
Lot
to
4 and
close
5.
lot. All right, so make a motion to close lot 4.
Second.
Hearing a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Frisco.
Aye.
I'm losing my head track here.
Make a motion to close lot 5.
Entertain motion for 5, please.
Second.
Here in a second, any further discussion? Roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion, please.
To,
Lots.
I think that was all of them.
That was all? I got, I'm losing track. Okay, all right.
We'll go back over the tape if we have to.
That was all of them.
All right.
that was all of them.
I was trying to do my little checks here on it. All right. Thank you very much, Silver Engineering.
Are you guys going to issue tonight or?
No. We'll just close everything. All right, moving on next, please. Notice of intent, Jasmine on 218 Rear Auburn Street, map 78, lot 56.
So the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 4 of the Wetlands Protection Act for notice of intent submitted by JPCG Realty.
Okay, I'm glad you said it because I thought I was going to test.
Somebody needs to unmute, please. I mean, mute.
Bridgewater in an area subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. The public hearing will be on Thursday, August 27th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. in the Bridgewater Town Hall. No in-person meeting in the Academy building is closed to the public. Virtual Zoom meeting.
All right, thank you very much, Jasmine. Foresight Engineering, please, you're open.
Yes, good evening, Darren McHale from Foresight Engineering. This is a lot that was submitted about 13 years ago and all the plans had expired. So we're now resubmitting. We're proposing a new home, with new septic system in the front outside the buffer zone. All of the driveways outside of the buffer zone. The majority of the property and the house and rooftop are out of the buffer zone. Most of the clearing is just for grading due to the steep drop down to the wetlands. Our closest disturbance is about 35 feet with hay bales and silt fence at around 30 feet to stop any erosion. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Steve, please.
Yep, this one's pretty cut and dry, as Darren said. I'm just looking back on my report for my assessment. So this is a buffer zone only project. The proposal actually calls for erosion and sedimentation control at a distance approximately 30 to 35 feet away from the wetland resource area. So therefore, with all that being said, with the appropriate pre-work on site and construction oversight during, and then the achievement of a certificate of compliance, which I foresee in the future, I recommend and suggest that you close this tonight.
All right, thank you. I have no questions on this filing on that area. Eileen, please. Any questions?
Fine. No,
All right,
I'm good.
Harry, please.
What's 35 feet away?
Just the grading, the limit of the clearing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. At this time, I'll open it up to the public, please. Jasmine, if you see anything, anybody raising their hand?
Nothing in the chat so far. No one raising a hand.
All right, we'll give it a moment. Okay, Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Motion to close the hearing for 425 Bedford Street.
Whoa, no. 218 Rear.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. No, you're right. I'm sorry. Yep. Yes.
Like,
I was looking at my highlighter.
Oh, man.
I know. Continue the motion, please. Sorry.
Second.
Here in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey.
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So that one's closed. Okay. At this moment, the chair would entertain a motion for a 3-minute break, please.
Motion for a 3-minute break.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. All right. 7:40. We'll resume at 7:43. Go.
I mean, you can pose the question to Marilyn and see.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Larry.
I was just asking the question. I noticed that tonight there were a lot of hearings that were closed, but there were no motions for orders or conditions. And I'm concerned about the time delay that's going
Well, you know
to
what,
impact projects.
Larry, I'll answer that very honestly. This is a very large agenda tonight, which came to us just, recently. We have a quorum, I don't want to do anything in a haste. I need to make sure that, I's are crossed and T's are crossed and stuff. So it's closed. We have a 21-day period once things are closed. There is a scheduled hearing afterwards. So I'm not going to rush anything. We've got the, we've got the time. So this is a large agenda. I don't want to miss anything. I want to have the opportunity to go back and take a look. Again, I was at the hospital yesterday when everything came through. So I want to make sure that I can take a good look at all the filings.
We're past 21 days with September 10th because there's 31 days in August. So I think if we don't issue tonight, that's actually 22 or 23 days.
Why are we that far out on the next meeting? It should be 14.
Because of the way it lands with the 31st of the month and the
14
Thursday.
days. It's 14
August
days.
is a long month.
So by the time September 10th rolls around, that would be 22 days if you start counting tomorrow.
14. Today's the 27th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
14.
I'm doubling up, guys. I'm losing track.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Never mind. Ignore that.
All right, we're ignoring that.
Yeah, no.
An issuance of an order conditions of the 15th is falls within the 20
Sorry,
hours.
guys.
I'm like, all right, wait a minute. We're in our 2 week.
After a closure, the commission technically had 21 days, 21 calendar days to make its next.
Issue our decision, yeah. So everything closed has a 21-day period for us to issue our decision. And we do have a quorum for next meeting, so we're on track. Okay, Larry? All right, I have all our members back. Let's keep going. So we ended with 425 Bedford. We now have a notice of intent of 13 Vernon Street, map 124.
No,
lot 20
actually, no.
1300.
We
1300,
did not-
1300. What?
We haven't not done Bedford Street.
We have not done Bedford.
I'm sorry.
In
425 Bedford Street, notice of intent. Jasmine, please read in.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Thursday, August 27, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. for review of a notice of intent. The public hearing will be held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. The proposed work includes paving of an existing lot and drainage within the buffer zone to the wetlands. The property is identified as Assessor's Map 62, lots 9 and 36, 425 Bedford Street. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Thank you. 425 Bedford Street, Silver Engineering, you are now open.
Good evening, Lawrence Silva, Silver Engineering. So this project, you're familiar with, I'm sure you're all familiar with Barrett's Restaurant. So this is the Barrett site, and as you can see, it also carries over to the adjoining lot on the right. So there are two property owners that were involved in the filing. And when you look at it, when you're out there, it just looks like it's all Barrett's, but it is, but it's a little bit of land that's from the neighbor there, and there's by agreement. And most of the parking lot is a paved parking lot, but there is a section of it along the perimeter that's it's basically a dense packed gravel. And it acts like an impervious surface, but it's very difficult when it comes to maintenance and so forth. And so what the owner has asked is to be able to pave that, and that's what we've proposed as part of this notice of intent. But in doing so, what we're doing is taking care of the runoff that occurs from that section that we're asking to pave, and actually collecting that water and encouraging recharge of that water. So in a sense that we're basically improving it by not having as much direct runoff and having runoff coming from the gravel as well to the wetlands. So with this sort of perimeter area, we're directing that to some drainage controls. And so that's really, we're looking to try to improve the ability to maintain this lot in a way it's not disruptive, nor does it impact the wetlands. Because when a plow gets out there and catches some of that gravel, you know what happens is that it gets pushed to the edge. And this wetland is pretty much, historically, it's always been just to the outside of the parking lot area. We're asking that the commission allow for this small amount of area to go from being a densely packed gravel to a pavement.
Thank you, Larry. Steve, can you open, please?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Larry because I've seen what hard pack does and the water that comes off of it from a stormwater perspective, and what's in that water as it comes off. And as Larry said, when that area gets plowed, all that gravel and silt and sand, once it's in those piles, it just melts and it goes right down into the wetland in most cases.
No.
Right.
So, you know, the improvement just in the paving is one thing. Now, the other improvement is also the proposed drainage area where we're going to get some level of treatment of the water coming off that side as well. So that's another plus. Now, granted, it is going into an area that is directly, which looks like on top of the wetland, but it's already disturbed as it's currently standing. And, you know, as far as the water coming out of there, it will be better treated. You know, it's a net improvement, this whole proposal, as far as I see. It meets the performance standards, and it also will help treat the water and also make sure that we aren't actually just actively pushing gravel and sediment into the wetland during the winter months. So this project, I think, is a slam dunk. I think it's an improvement, and I think it meets a lot of needs and wants of various parties. So I suggest that you close in the short order conditions.
Thank you, Steve. I have no comments on this filing. Harry?
All set.
Eileen?
The only concern I have is what are you pushing into the wetlands for salts and de-icing of a parking lot? Is that going to be worse going into the wetlands, Steve?
Well, I can defer to Larry on that one because water is now going to actually actively be treated and probably guided towards that proposed drainage area.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen in general. If the commission has a condition in there about the types of treatment on the pavement itself,
Yeah.
that would apply to any other pavement that's in the buffer zone. So, I mean, I think you've had conditions of that type that you've put on other parking lots in the past. So, I think it's a good point, Eileen, and I think that having that as part of the condition would be appropriate.
I think it's fair. What do you think, Steve?
I agree. I mean, I see it already as a huge, you know, upgrade from where we currently stand. Yeah. And if we can actively, you know, kind of choose the type of snow removal add-ons and chemicals or sand, salt, whatever is being used in the buffer zone area, that's an additional plus for us.
Right.
So.
Oh, awesome point. Thank you, Eileen.
Okay.
All right. At this time, anybody in the public with a question, Jasmine, that you're seeing?
Nothing in the chat, no hands being raised.
Okay, give it a second. All right, then, at this time, the chair would entertain a motion, please.
Motion to close the hearing for 425 Bedford Street.
Second.
Here in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Mary McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey,
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
All right, we're closed. Thank you. Okay, let me make sure I'm keeping my line straight and marking that one off. All right, next in line is notice of intent, please, Jasmine, on 1300 Vernon Street, map 124, lot 261281, Silver Engineering.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing Thursday, August 27, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. for review of a notice of intent. The public hearing will be held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar of the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. The proposed work is a limited project for driveway access to a proposed single-family home. The property is identified as Assessor's Map 124, lots 2, 6, 12, and 81, 0, and 1300 Vernon Street. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Great, thank you. Silver Engineering, you are now open. Now open, thank you.
Okay. Rebecca will be presenting this one. Hi, Rebecca.
No, I think I muted her.
I'm talking to myself. I'm hoping you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So we have here is a limited project for 4 lots that will be combined in a future submittal to the planning board. What makes it a limited project is that there is no other access to this land that's viable. As you can see in this image, everything here is considered Snows Brook and wetland. This little bit of frontage is not buildable. It's not a zoning allowed. We try that. We have a pond in the back. We have more wetlands and more stream on the backside or the east side. So it is by definition can be considered a limited project. There is no other way in. You can see on this next image. All right, so we're between 1180 and 1188. It's a nice lawn area at the moment. The driveway is positioned such that it would come in and have minimal impact to the wetlands as it follows tightly to the property line and follows the contouring of the berm that's there now, right along in here. So we've minimized the impacts to the wetlands, about 4,100 square feet of wetland impact. We are also replicating about 4,200 square feet, and I'll show you that right here. Hang on, slow computer. So the purple represents the wetland impacts. The purple over here represents the replication that we have proposed. So we had Ken Thompson flag this wetland, and he also flagged the riverfront, Snows Brook. So we located bank full and wetland flags via on-the-ground survey. This does not represent any GIS or any assumed, this is all flags in the field. Other resources that were identified were floodplain and bank. And so to address the concerns of bank, we have right here where the channel constricts and it's this nice little passage, we have an open bottom box culvert. This will allow the channel to remain the same as we'll have strip footing on both sides and we'll straddle this opening with this 18-foot wide box culvert. It meets the stream crossing standards for width and height and wildlife passage. To clean and provide water quality as another concern of the performance standards, we're proposing a catch basin and an oil grit separator. So the driveway would be bermed to capture any stormwater runoff from the high point to this low point right here as we zoom in. Catch basin, oil grit, discharge into a riprap on the down gradient side of the river, the brook. One other performance standard that we have here that we're taking care of is the floodplain. So because we're filling in elevations to a certain volume, we're going to give back a certain volume. We're proposing 2 rows of chambers with a manifold pipe in between. This would feed the chambers and allow the stormwater and the floodwaters to rise up and store inside this block wall under the driveway. And as the waters recede, it would again flow back through the equalizer pipe and on its way through the rest of the channel. Now, I have a better picture of that if you give me a moment. And
Becca,
then,
can I just stop you just for 1 second?
You bet.
I have a hard time with background noise, so if anybody, please remain unmuted except for conservation members and people that are up doing the applicant. Thank you.
Okay. So here's the detail of the open bottom box culvert, 18-foot wide over the channel. This is how the floodplain would be managed by allowing the floodwaters to flow into the equalizer manifolds and into these storage chambers in between the blocks under the roadway. I know there's a lot of resource concerns. I know there's probably a lot of questions. I wonder if the commission has had a chance to go out there. I've actually been able to see the site myself. Are there questions? that I can
Again, I'm
answer?
hearing a lot of background noise, which is difficult for me. So if anybody is unmuted, that should not be unmuted at this time. Or is it just me? It's my
Well,
sensitivity.
I think it's actually Rebecca's, because I was trying to find the same thing earlier, but that's fine.
Jonathan, shut up.
I was muted and I didn't know why.
Jasmine, I think
Just like in person, I have a hard time with background
Jonathan.
noise.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, just getting everything in and looking at this, and limited projects familiar with, wetland crossings. As far as I'm concerned, I've got to do a lot more looking into this project. So at this point, I don't really have any comments. I just have to do a lot more looking into it at this time. So I'll start. Steve, I'll have you open up with anything.
Yeah. And just like Marilyn said, so this is a project that will need to go under the review of Azui Tenero, the town engineer, in order to go over the engineering. And my main concerns as far as the engineering goes and the planning goes, I shouldn't call them concerns, but my main questions go directly to the footings that are going to be included with this culvert and this box culvert crossing. If the soils are appropriate, I know that everybody's a professional here. Everybody does their due diligence, but I also have to do my due diligence on my side and make sure that the town engineer has a chance to look at these things and provide comments. He also needs to look at the stormwater from an engineering perspective. And then, what was the other thing that?
Dewatering?
Oh, yes, the dewatering. So the placement of the culvert and then the dewatering of the excavation as this culvert is being put in place. I know we're going to have a bunch of comments on this tonight. I'm going to start it off by putting into the record that we did have an email come in late in the day from Kevin Newton, who is a citizen that wrote an email, and he basically addressed a bunch of questions that I need to look at and answer. I just want to urge everybody, the best way to submit your comments to the commission for review that will make sure that they get seen and heard is to do so in writing. They will be seen and heard by us in person at this forum because that is your right. But the best way to actually make them part of the public record is to write them down and get them into the record so that people can review them, so that people can see them on paper and we can compare them to the plans and we can comment back to those comments. So with all that being said, I'm going to hand it back to Marilyn at this point. I'm going to suggest that this project be continued for 2 weeks till the September 10th hearing, which will give time for the commission to go out and further see the site based upon this presentation. It will also afford me the time to get together with Azui Tenero, the town engineer, in order to review this project more in depth as far as the engineering is concerned. I will say that from the regulatory standpoint, I feel like this project has met the merit of the performance standards that come into question with all the resource areas that come into play here, whether that's riverfront area, whether that's bank, whether that's perennial stream, habitat of wild species, everything. So we're going to take 2 more weeks at least, but we want to hear people's comments, at least so that if any questions can be answered tonight, we can answer them. But again, I urge you strongly to put your concerns in writing.
Thank you, Steve. And again, myself, I was out there today along with Eileen, and, I'm going to have a lot of questions. I'm going to wait for Azu's weigh in. That's going to be very, very important. So we will wait to hear back from Azu, especially on that. The crossing is going to be very, very important for us to see what he weighs in with soils, calculations, stormwater. So at this time, I'll direct anything to the members. Harry, any comments or questions on this?
Not yet.
Okay. Eileen, any comments or questions on this?
Only because I can't really see the print because it's so small and I didn't have a chance to read the plans. What is the replication ratio? Larry. Or Rebecca.
It's just over 1-to-1.
It's only 1-to-1?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not good, in my opinion. That's the only question that I had.
I'll have further at the next meeting, but until I get further weigh in. Yep. All right, so no further comments from the commission at this time. I will open it up to public comments. Again, I am going to ask that this be strictly kept to wetlands with the 3-minute rule, please. And then, like Steve said, all questions and concerns are addressed in writing is a good way to do that also.
It's just preferred.
Definitely preferred. We definitely want to hear from you. So at this time, Jasmine, anybody raising their hand or any comments from anybody at this point?
All right, this is weird. So people know how to use the raise hand function again, right? Down at the bottom of the screen, there's reactions. You can raise your hand. We will unmute you so that you can speak up on the project.
And we'll give it a little bit before we move on.
Or if you'd like to wave at the camera if you're there, if you'd like to speak. Okay. Shane, I see you.
Okay, thank you.
Please identify yourself and your address for the record.
My name is Shane Veronese, and I live at 1188 Vernon Street. I'm the abutter to where this driveway proposal is going to happen. Now that I have 2 more weeks, that's fine. I will put everything in writing, but my main concern is that this is a high-level runoff flood zone. I've been dealing with water my entire life in my house. I've lived there my whole life. And now somebody wants to fill in the water table over there. The water's gonna go somewhere. It's gotta go somewhere. It's gonna go in my basement. There's a project on the other side of Bridgewater. It was called the Whispering Woods. And we all know how that turned out, and that's still in litigation. I don't want that to happen in my yard. That's my concern. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Shane. I appreciate those comments, and it's a concern on the commission's part also, so thank you.
Thank you.
Janet Hanson would like to speak.
Sorry, I don't have too much. I don't live in that area. I know.
Okay,
if I
did you?
lived
I'm
there-
sorry. I'm sorry. Can you state your address, please?
Wait a minute. Janet Hanson, 665 Pleasant Street, Bridgewater. Sorry.
You. Thank you. No worries. No worries. Thank you. It's tough doing this Zoom. Thank you.
I usually do it when I'm on the other one. Sorry, because I already spoke. But I don't live there, so I can't probably necessarily comment too much, except for I know if I live there, you'd be hearing more from me. I just don't understand. I never will understand how nothing can be just left alone. I mean, it's not my property. They have, I suppose, a right to do what they want, but from what I see in this plan, it definitely would be something that a zoo and others really need to look at. It's not, there's a lot of wetland wildlife. To me, it's a shame. Why can't it just be left alone? But I would like to make sure that that's looked at carefully.
And thank you. As you heard me earlier, that's definitely an input that we're going to need to have before we go any further. Thank you. Jasmine, anybody further?
Anybody else like to speak?
Yes.
Again, the comments in writing, please do.
Weingartner?
Yes. I'm still on the golf commission. But,
I'm sorry. Can you please state your address, please, for the record?
1195 Vernon Street, Bridgewater.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I've been on the golf course commission for from day one. And when we did the environmental impact report, first of all, any kind of wetlands, we had to do 3-to-1 replication. Now, has that been changed since then? Maybe Larry could answer that question.
I will defer first to Steve, and then Steve, you can direct.
To look closer at the regs. 3-to-1 seems a bit high. I had always known it to be more around 1-to-1.
Well, it was 3-1 when we did the golf course, so maybe it's changed since then.
Well, at the golf course, you were under Audubon.
Yeah, it was a state issue.
Yeah.
We had to do it, and we dealt with the zoo and all that. So he was actually back then. He was still the person that was involved within the environmental issues.
Rebecca and Larry, could you maybe? I can't unmute Rebecca.
I know myself, I will research that further.
Yeah.
But Larry,
I mean,
you can weigh in.
there's a requirement for replacing the wetlands that you're looking to fill.
Yeah.
So there's a minimum of a 1-to-1 requirement. There, to the best of my knowledge, there isn't anything that says that there has to be a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1.
Right.
It's more discretionary or negotiated in terms of how a commission views it. I think that where the golf course, and I was involved in some of that work back then with the golf course, I think that was just an overall kind of basically, I wouldn't say concession, but it was a trade-off because there was a lot of activity that in the golf course where you had to cut across wetlands. There were boardwalks that went across. There was a lot of different things in terms of activity. It was right up to wetlands in most cases. So there was, it's not just looking at just that replication. That was an overall project, and there was some back and forth in terms of, what needed to be done. So I don't think it's a great comparison to a case like this. You know what I'm saying? And the answer to the other part of the question, I mean, this is an access which everyone is entitled to access their uplands. This is not a marginal upland on the other side. This is 27 acres of uplands for a single family house. So yeah, it's not the easiest access to it, but there is a right to access to be able to build a house back there. So I think that I totally disagree with somebody saying, well, why can't we just leave this
At
alone?
this point, Larry, I'm going to move on with it. We've already got that noted. That's something that we're going to be looking at.
Marilyn, I respond better to saying to shut up.
Then Larry, shut up.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate that this shows the importance that everything really is a case-by-case basis. It's a proposal-by-proposal basis. Every project is different, and therefore every project's going to be looked at differently with its concerns, with its impacts, and with its potential mitigation. So,
Manny, you'd like to speak?
yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Manny.
I'm Manny. I'm the owner of the property of 1300 Vernon. I'm also a contractor. I do this by trade. There was a concern about dewatering there, Steve. The reason that we chose a open bottom culvert is because you dig on one side, put the footing in, dig on the other side, put the footing in, you don't disturb the brook at all. That was the reason for going with the box culvert, to lessen the impact of the brook that we don't have to touch. The brook that's there now, I want to say, is 6 feet wide. The one that we're putting in is 18, so you wouldn't disturb the brook at all. It just, you're putting a piece that you can drive over.
Yeah. No, I understand. I have to do my due diligence and make sure that the town gets their engineers' eyes on it. So.
No, I agree. I just wanted, there was a concern of dewatering. There is no, we don't have to divert. We don't have to shut up any dams.
Okay.
We don't have to shut it down. It's simply you're digging on one side, you're digging on the other. You put the basing down. That's a prefab basing, one side of the brook and the other, and then you just have a machine set the 18-foot culvert on.
Okay.
Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
Jasmine, anybody else?
Not seeing anybody waving and nobody in the chat.
I'd like to speak one more time.
I'd like to speak again. Go ahead, Shane.
According to what Larry said about 27 acres, I was on the assumption that it was 38 acres that Stanley Kravitz sold.
Shame though that's not like a wetland. I don't know the answer
not
to
a
that.
wetland.
Yeah, it's an upland question that we can't answer. So when it comes to the wetland, we'll answer
So
that.
now I know. Okay.
Thanks, Shane. Jasmine, anybody else?
Not seeing anyone else.
There you go, Manny. Okay.
Okay, at this time, the chair would entertain a motion, please.
Motion to continue
Yes.
Absolutely.
to September 10th. 1300 Vernon Street, Bridgewater.
Second.
Hearing a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey?
Aye.
Eileen Prisco?
Aye.
All right, again, this is your notification. You will not get another one in the mail, so this meeting is continued to September 10th. Thank you. All right, so we've crossed up 13, 14 Vernon. Now we go, Jasmine, please, to request for determination on railroad right-of-way, please.
They actually did not post the legal ad.
Oh, okay, so we cannot open that legally. Okay, so we'll move forward. Yep. All right, so that one's too. So we'll go to requested determination on 283 Cherry Street, please.
That should be Mike Quirk, so he's probably under Stephanie Quirk.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater local bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing will be on a request for determination of applicability filed by Michael Quirk. The applicant proposes to rebuild a failing retaining wall and regrade adjacent areas and request determination from the commission whether the work depicted on the plan is subject to jurisdiction under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Bridgewater Wetland Bylaw. The property is owned by Michael and Stephanie Quirk and located at 283 Cherry Street, Bridgewater, Mass. As shown on Assessor's Map 66, parcel 26. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Department for the hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
All right, thank you. You are now open, Mike Quirk.
Quirk. Mike, are you there?
Not muted.
You see him there?
Oh,
Yeah, he's
sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep, there you are. Hi, Mike.
Yep, hi there. So my name is Michael Quirk, and my residence is 283 Cherry Street in Bridgewater. Essentially, my project involves replacing a failing retaining wall that's located behind my swimming pool, my in-ground swimming pool. So it's having an impact on the pool. This wall is probably about 35 years old, 30 years old. It was built with the house, and it's currently propped up with some metal pipes that the previous homeowner had put up. I purchased this property with my wife about 3 years ago. So the project involves work to repair that wall, replace the wall, and do some grading in the adjacent area to help improve the grades that are impacted by the wall. As far as the limits of work, they will be outside the 50-foot buffer zone. A small portion of the project will be within the 100-foot buffer zone. Steve had met me out at the property and took a look at it, and I guess that's about it.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mike. Steve, can you speak please on this?
Yep. So yes, I met with Mr. Quirk out on his property. As you guys can see from the plan that Jasmine put up, where that orange dashed line is a failing retaining wall. And then below it, there's a depression that is a dark area, which may fool you, and you may think, oh, that looks sort of like a wetland. It's not. It's just a depression. And then what happens is you go back up gradient, as you can see in this area that's approximately that 113-foot stretch where it's marked out. And then it goes up, and then it recedes back down to the wetland that's down below. As you can see, it kind of thins out. It's a lot of red maple and whatnot. So there's almost like a natural erosion and sedimentation control in the form of this embankment, which is natural. So the project is actually on the downside of that. So I recommend and suggest a negative determination with no real need for erosion or sedimentation control, because the only place it's going to go is into this upland depression that's located down in that area of work. And then Mr. Quirk has thrown in some buffer planting materials, a sweet pepper bush, low bush blueberry, some silky dogwood, arrowwood, and viburnum, or arrowwood viburnum down along that line, which is a nice little plus, some good wildlife plants, and to enhance the area a little bit. So I recommend a negative determination.
All right, thank you. I have no comments on this. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Eileen?
I'm fine.
Harry?
No comment.
Okay. At this time, then the chair would take a motion for,
Motion to close the hearing for 283 Cherry Street.
Second.
Issue a negative determination.
isn't it, yeah, so motion would be for a negative determination, Eileen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we weren't doing that.
Well, it's an RDA, yeah.
All right, so make a motion for a negative determination on 283 Cherry Street.
Second.
Here in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Arnold McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey?
Aye.
Eileen Prisco?
Aye.
All right, noted negative. All right, continuing to move right along, please. Negative determination of 6-3 Paddock Road, map 70, lot 24, please, Jasmine.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing will be on a request for determination of applicability filed by PMP Associates. The applicant proposes a septic system repair and requests a determination from the commission whether the work depicted on the plan is subject to jurisdiction under the Wetland Protection Act and Town of Bridgewater Wetland Bylaw. The property is owned by Ann Finn and located at 63 Paddock Road, Bridgewater, MA, as shown on Assessor's Map 70, Parcel 33. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Department for hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Very good, thank you. You are now open. Jacob Driscoll Engineering, please.
Hi, Pat Carrar from PMP Associates, representing the project. So it is a septic system repair for the existing dwelling at 63 Paddock Road. We did the soil testing with the health agent, Eric Badger. We found suitable soil in the backyard, roughly between 6.5 and 7 feet deep. So we've designed the septic system to comply with Title V. We have an erosion control barrier surrounding the area. The work is essentially going to take place within the existing lawn area. There'll be no removal of vegetation. That large tree just to the left of the system is a locust tree. It's a black locust. That'll remain in place. There's no reason to touch it. So as I said, we have erosion control surrounding the area. We're providing for a dewatering area. The edge of the actual system is 85.4 feet from the nearest point of the wetland. And all of the work is well outside the 50-foot buffer. So we respectfully ask that the commission issue a negative determination for the repair of the septic system.
Very good, thank you. I have no comments or concerns, straightforward. Steve, any comments on this?
Nope, this one's very straightforward, septic repair, so.
Yep. Eileen, Harry, any questions or concerns on this?
No, I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
Anybody in the public on this filing?
No, nobody's.
I wouldn't believe so. All right, Chair would entertain a motion for a negative approval.
Yeah, make a motion for negative determination on 63 Paddock Street, Bridgewater.
Second.
Here in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Arnold McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey?
Aye.
Eileen Prisco?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay. Now just double check me. We're wrapped up under new business.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took just about 2 hours. I think that's pretty good.
I agree.
All right. So moving on to conservation business, we have approve and sign payment form for land use grant. Can you guys please?
Yes, so you guys are familiar with Styles and Hart.
Yep.
Yep.
The land grant was used to match that or pay for that property. And we are working through the closeout package right now as we speak. So we're going to probably need your guys' signature on that document, which, Jasmine, did you find that document that needs to be signed?
No, I have to reach out to, is it Nathaniel?
Okay. So what we'll do is I'll be in the office all next week because this is something that will probably need hand signatures. from each of you. And this is just part of the package that's going back to close it out and so that the town can get reimbursed on the property. Other things that are going on with Stiles and Hart, we're going to be opening up conversations with Wildlands Trust. We're researching more about the entirety of it as far as the 75 acres now in total, or just about 75 acres in total. And things are moving forward over there pretty nicely and pretty quickly. So you'll know more as we know more.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have no questions on it. Harry or Eileen?
No.
I'm fine.
Okay. Do we need to, don't need to do a motion on this? We'll just wait for follow-up?
Yep.
Okay,
Just
perfect.
follow.
Yeah. Okay, request of a certificate of compliance then. Next one is 45 Stony Brook Lane. Steve, can you tell us if you've gone out and how things look?
Yeah, well, you can see the date on it, as Jocelyn's brought up, 1988.
Oh my God, that's Billy Manta. Oh my God.
So as you can see by the file number, it's one of the first 130 filings in town.
Wow.
So yeah,
Months old, guys.
Wow.
so I was 6. So, but as you guys can see, obviously, you know, I took a swing by the property. There's nothing going on right now that's a violation or anything like that. That's the only thing that you're going to catch with something this old. Is that potential? There's the actual order of conditions. As you can see, that is the entirety of the order of conditions.
1988. You know what I was doing in 88? No, nothing.
This was so much easier back then.
I know. The 80s. Gotta love them.
So, give you guys an idea of how old this one is, but
Yeah.
as Eileen knows, these things are very important for home sales. So
Yes, they are. Yep.
that's why this one is being brought to our attention. So I suggest that you issue a certificate of compliance.
I have no questions or concerns on this one.
Anybody else? So am I going to be making a motion to approve the COC or close it?
You approve it.
To issue the certificate of compliance.
Issue.
All right, so motion to approve the certificate of compliance. Issue the COC.
Second.
All right, hearing that, no further discussion. Roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey.
Aye.
Eileen Prisco.
Aye.
All right, COC 1988 dated.
That's bad.
All right. Oh my God, last on the agenda, drum roll please. Extension of order of conditions for SC 116-1275, Mass DOT, request for 3-year extension. Steve, please.
Yep, I spoke with, who's on this? Did I speak to her? Nope, not her. I must have spoken to an engineer on the project. They told me that unless there was unforeseen circumstances, they wouldn't be sending any representatives. So I guess that's how the state's operating these days. But yeah, this is just an extension permit. It's for ongoing work for the drainage systems on Route 18 and 28, 24, and 495 in town.
Okay. I never have an issue with any extensions if the work is still ongoing. So no questions on my end. Any questions on the
Yeah,
members?
this is all infrastructure maintenance, so it's probably going to be going on for quite a while.
Yep.
I'm sure it is. None on mine either.
None on mine.
Okay. All right. In that case, the chair would entertain a motion to issue an extension of the OOC, please.
Make a motion to
years. Is that okay? Sorry, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
3 years is what we found.
3 years is the standard
Yep.
right now.
Standard. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So make a motion to extend for, let's see, what is it going to be property wise? All of the above, Route 18, Route 8.
No, it's just go by the file number SC 116.
Okay.
Dash 12.
Oh, thank you. SC 116 dash 12. Thank you, Jasmine. Dash 1275. She knows we're all blind.
I'm looking down at mine. All right. Do we have a second? Hello?
Harry.
Second.
Second
thought he
for
fell asleep.
discussion. Hearing none, then we would make a roll call vote, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye. Harry Bailey.
Second. Aye.
Eileen Frisco.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
All right,
aye.
that officially takes care of the agenda members. Now we're just, items. We're just going to move on to anything deemed appropriate by conservation. So at this time, I'm just going to bring up the fact I just wanted Steve to kind of update us. As you know, the NIP was cleared. We have, an issue with restoring that, especially as an ACC area that we with the plantation. So I'd like Steve to just kind of update us on that. At the same time, he can probably do a 2-for-1 special because the issue down at the end of Lakeshore Drive with the clearing, he also looked into that, and he can weigh in on that. So Steve, I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 special.
Sure, I can do that. So first I'll deal with the cutting down at the Keith Homestead. I went down there once I got the call on it, once Marilyn sent the text over to me, and I couldn't figure out what the heck the reason was. And I assume maybe it was a neighbor, but Marilyn said she spoke with the neighbor that was down there, and they're unaware of who did it. So the only other thing that comes to mind is the fact that it falls within an ACEC. It also falls very close to the border of the, if not within, the Hockomock Wildlife Management Area. And if it was done for some wildlife habitat improvement or maintenance aspect, that is something I will follow up with as far as Fish and Wildlife goes. They may have information on why it was cut, how often it's cut, and when to expect the next cutting. And maybe I can also get, if that is the case, get them to alert us before they do it so that we know, and then we can alert townspeople and citizens that you expect to see cutting out there or whatever the case may be. So I'm gonna
That
look,
would be really nice.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna look
great.
into that. As far as the Keith Homestead goes, on the cutting down at the NIP, I went down there to take a look at what's kind of coming back, because a lot of these projects or a lot of these violations that occur around wetlands, they tend to grow back fast because they have a lot of water. They have a lot of nutrients from the water. And they have a lot of sunlight because they're in the open and they're allowed to grow kind of unimpeded. And what we're seeing is, I think it's probably chokecherry down there. They're not the most favorable trees, but some of those trees are sprouting leaders that might be viable moving forward. So with those, I might be inclined to recommend that we choose the best leaders and let them grow to establish that sort of tree line for maybe birds. But we're still going to have to come up with, and I have started working with Jasmine on this as far as a plant list and a layout for the area behind the riprap, because I just don't know how successful a planting plan within that riprap is going to be.
Right.
And trying to force, it's like a shoehorn almost, like trying to force something in there to work, I think is foolish, and I think it's a waste of money and it's not efficient.
I agree.
If we're going to do it right, we might as well pick good plants, put them on the edge of that riprap area, focus on wildlife habitat plants and some aesthetics at the same time, and maybe a tree or two a little bit further set back, and then maybe we even come up with an idea of something too, like another bench that could be placed down there for a viewing shed or a viewing area. Maybe an Eagle Scout's looking for a project or something.
Yep.
But as far as the planting plan and that stuff goes, that's all on the town. That's that is going to be taken care of, because this is time to set an example that these type of things are not going to happen, whether the town's doing them or whether private residents are doing them. So we got to make sure that we also publicize what's going on and the reason why it's going on.
Yep.
So hopefully,
And we
as
should
we
know
start-
because people are calling us.
Oh, sure. And as we move forward here, the other reason is, now that we've slipped into a drought, anything we try to plant down there is probably not going to get ample care. So it's going to die very quickly. So we're going to have to wait for probably late September, early October. I mean, my plan is to have something loosely ready to go by mid-September that can be approved by the appropriate powers that be in town as far as purchasing plant material, get them laid out, and then hopefully hope for a slightly wetter season that we're getting right now so the plants can thrive, because I just don't know with as bare boned as the DPW staff is, they're going to be the ones probably tasked with maintaining this thing and making sure those plants grow. It's not that I don't trust them. I just don't think that there's enough time to go around. And I would hate to see an expense go to waste.
Perfect.
I might have an answer for you on the end of Lake Shore.
Really?
That's Fish and Game property, and they're supposed to be putting in a rooftop canoe launch site in that area. So that might be what they're doing.
In the field?
Yes, the field belongs to Fish and Game in between the two
That's
houses.
what, see, I was thinking, yeah.
So they agreed to put in a rooftop canoe launch at that site and have like 6 parking spaces.
So that would make sense then, if the parking spaces were over there.
You can check with Fish and Game.
I will.
Yeah.
That definitely gets me on the right track, I think, because that's what my thinking was once I looked at it and I was like, I see no purpose here unless it's something associated with the wildlife management area or fish and wildlife habitat, something. That's the only thing I could tie it to. So Fish and Game, all right. Well, I will call them and get more details and then just hopefully have them, if it is them, I'll have them alert us on the next steps so that people can know what's going on.
Yeah, just so we can alert people, in that area so they know. That'd be great.
Yeah, because I mean, technically it's a buffer zone. It's within 100 feet of the.
Yeah, you're right. Technically it's a buffer zone.
So, but that's neither here nor there because they wouldn't pay permit fees anyways because they're a state agency and it's an approvable project. So at the same time, it's like, just give us the alert so that we can let people know what's going on.
Especially, yeah, the name. I mean, he had no idea either. It's like, who came in? All right. Harry had a concern regarding Bedford Street. So, Harry, you had a couple of concerns you wanted to bring to the attention tonight.
Yeah. 850 Bedford Street, the waterproofing basement place. I rode by, I got an anonymous complaint over the phone. It seems like they're expanding in the right-hand back corner. I know the property because Chuckwin was going to buy it, and I went down and looked at it, and I believe that the former owner went as far as he could on the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So you can view it if you turn down the street beside it, and you can look out in the back. You can see.
So Steve, if you remember, there was an enforcement order on the front part of that when they had cleared the wetland brush in the front. So we can take a look out back if you bring it back in the area.
I will. I need access without accessing the property. So Harry, if you want to send me the directions to where I can see that from not being on property.
Yeah.
Forest Street.
Okay.
Turn on the Forest Street from Bedford, and you can look across and you can see the back. You can see the pile of dirt. You can actually see a road going in. And then I have one more. The ice skating rink, Bedford Park. They're expanding. Like I used to work there. I noticed it way back when we did the enforcement out front, and I thought something would be done because they're expanding out back. Scotland Boulevard came before us, and we were out there for 2 days walking flags. So if he can do it, all the others can do it. They think when they get new owners, they can just do what they want.
Yeah, because I remember that was switching hands at the very end of this year.
But they're expanding out back, and who knows? It could be a vernal pool. I know there is a stream back there.
All right, I'll look into that as well.
And if you need me, just call. I'll be out back cutting that tree down.
Okay, Harry.
For the next month.
And then the only thing I had a concern on, in the past, is there a limit to how much we put on one agenda? Because it can get a little, especially with our time and stuff at these Zoom meetings, I find it,
Technically, we're not allowed to cap it.
Okay.
Because of those timing protocols.
I just feel like
So, I mean, if you were to try to cap something, you'd have to get very creative with picking and choosing who's going on what agenda because you have to hear certain things within certain time periods.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was
So,
maybe a cap on, I mean, we can go from 2 to 20, it seems like.
yeah, we can. But, I mean, the flip side is because I can tell you that the workload for this meeting was 10 times more than the workload from any meeting up until this point.
I know, I watching on my
And-
phone, everything coming in from Jasmine yesterday going, oh, no.
Yeah, we both put in a lot of work leading up to this meeting. And, you know, it's our job, so I feel I'm fine doing it. But
Oh, we know that.
the only time I've, you know, the only thing I've seen to kind of curb that is in my previous stops. When I was the agent in Mashpee, we itemized each thing by meeting time. So the first item was to open at 7 and be closed by 7:05. And then the next item was to open at 7:06 and close by 7:11. And then 7:12, so on and so forth. And what that does is it makes the applicants and representatives speed up a little bit because whether they think they have a time restriction or not, they really don't, but it's more guidance. It's kind of like the 3-minute rule of, you know, commenting. You know, you can put particular things in order to, and, you know, simply put, with a couple of things tonight, we could have said, well, we don't have enough information to move forward. We're just going to continue for 2 weeks. So you can pick and choose that way too. But it's very tricky. I don't foresee many more hearings getting this large.
Yeah, it's more of my concern. It's more of my concern with the Zoom meetings. I just feel on it, you know, kind of that. I just prefer the in-person where I'm with the plans, with the public.
Oh, trust me, so do I.
And I have that background problem. I don't know. It's very
It's distracting.
It's distracting and it's a challenge. So I was just figuring if there was we could limit the amount of filings during, and again, just during the Zoom meetings. But I get it. I never want to stop things going on, but we'll go with the flow.
We can set deadlines like we do now as far as, you know, items getting on the agenda. So as it stands now, it's typically the Friday before the hearing in order to get advertising time. But you can ultimately probably push that a couple more days back.
Why can't we limit it to like?
Because if someone comes in and says, I'm submitting this,
Yeah.
regardless of your meeting size,
Yeah.
you have to hear them within a certain amount of time.
Well, no, I knew that, but you know, can't we say
So
you need to be on the next agenda? Don't
No.
submit.
You can tell them that, but they don't have to agree.
Right, but I mean, if you did tell them that and they did agree, then we can move forward and put them on the next one. And if they don't, then we have no choice and we suck it up.
I mean, you can ask them, but I just assume, you know, these filings literally came in all at the same time. So they all would have to have been heard tonight. I mean, the fact that 3 of them were in Oldfield together, 5 of them were in Crimson Heights together, you know, and then we had the 2 big ones, Fruit Street and Vernon Street. So, you know, things just kind of culminated into a longer than average meeting. I think if we were in person, it would have been significantly longer, honestly.
Oh, no.
I do too. I agree.
I disagree.
Because they can't get the floor and have it as long.
Yeah,
They really can't.
That's the one thing is we have more control over how long people can get up there and take the mic and run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm old school. I'm just more comfortable in person.
Well, it's funny, Eileen. I mean, I wish we could limit too. I mean, I had agendas previously in my past which were 30 items long.
and so have I when I was on the zoning.
Realistically, we still got through it in a
you,
timely manner. We really got through it in a timely manner.
I think we made great time on the number of items tonight.
You still do pretty good. Steve, that brook was Snowsbrook.
Snowsbrook,
I
yep.
was talking about today. So I saw it on the plan. And I was like, I said Bellsbrook. It was Snowsbrook.
Oh, yeah.
That flows right into that waterway.
Oh, yeah.
It's so dried out.
But it did put into perspective a little bit of where that goes. So it does follow that berm that we were looking at on site today.
Yeah.
It follows that high ground that goes and curves up to the
Yep.
right. So just to put it in perspective for you guys, so if you think back to when we were out there today, you can kind of think of the contour of the entrance going in there. And then then you can also think about what are the abutters' true concerns. So, and you guys did get the email. I made sure to speak it into the record. Kevin Newton. People can come and comment. Hopefully they do it in writing.
I think they will.
I think you'll get, no, I think you'll get a lot of written comments.
I do too, but I wanted to make sure that I got Kevin Newton recognized because he did submit late this afternoon. And you guys got that email. I sent it also to the applicant. So those concerns will be addressed, and he wasn't able to make the meeting, but maybe he'll make it next time, and hopefully we will have clarified a lot of his comments by that point.
Sounds good.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Good for you. The wetlands is the key, not the uplands. Going through the wetlands is my only concern. The amount of acreage up top, I don't care.
Yep.
It's just going through the wetlands is what I care about.
Hey, if we could save every piece of land that's not currently built upon, go for it. But that's just not feasible. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, that's what I do for a living. But I still care about, things that probably in my lifetime, because I've been here so long, were never supposed to have been touched, and now all of a sudden they are, and it's like, wow.
Funny how that works, huh?
Oh my God, when I saw that dried up today, I was horrified.
Well, I think that's mainly just drought.
I know, but in 40 years, I've never seen that.
It's probably, well, like I was saying on site today, I mean, these type of droughts only happen every 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. And I probably
So you probably lived through a couple, maybe just didn't notice it.
Didn't notice it. Yeah, didn't see it. I mean, I was very, very surprised. It's kind of a bummer. What I think about is the animals that are dying for the water. The wild animals.
They'll track it down because I'm sure it's flowing downstream.
Yeah, I'm sure.
If you look at the topo, you can tell, yes, there's a small channel in there, but it's not flowing at a rate up there like it is down where at 1300 where we started.
Yeah.
That flows through there.
She was shocked. She was shocked. I'm not familiar with that property.
I was shocked.
She was shocked.
I was shocked. I really was. Bummer. But anyway, it is what it is.
Yep.
Progress.
Another day.
So are we making a motion to adjourn?
Chair would entertain.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Everybody have a great night. Thank you all.
Good night, Ellen. Thank you all for your help.
Thanks for getting everything together. Good work, guys. I know it's a lot.
Yeah, you guys.
Thanks, Jasmine.
Steve. Thanks, Jasmine.
Have
a good one.
Yep. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.